Welcome back to the Hizoria development series. In the previous episode we covered actions, movement, hero dice, and the weighted advantage system. Today we're moving on to one of the biggest parts of the game: loot, weapons, combat, and what happens when things don't go quite to plan. Before we begin, I want to quickly revisit something from the previous episode. While editing the video, I realized I'd accidentally left out one of the biggest changes to movement since version 2. In earlier versions, movement was measured using distance alone. While it worked, it often led to uncertainty about positioning and exactly where characters could move. Version 3 introduces a fully grid-based movement system, where each square represents 1 meter by 1 meter area. This makes positioning much clearer, simplifies measuring movement, and gives combat a much stronger tactical feel. It also allows abilities, weapon perks, and area of effect attacks to be much more precisely defined. With that cleared up, let's jump into today's topic. Before we get into combat, it's worth quickly talking about the dice used throughout Hizoria. Players will regularly use D4s, D6s, D8s, D10s, D12s, and D20s. Each dice serves a different purpose depending on the situation. The D20 is mainly used for characteristic checks and ability rolls, while the smaller dice are commonly used for weapon damage, healing, and various abilities. The larger the die, the greater the potential reward, but also the greater the variation in results. Progression in Hizoria isn't just tied to leveling up. Throughout your adventures, you'll also be discovering stronger equipment, collecting gold, and finding useful consumables. Most of this comes from exploring dungeons. Players can discover treasure chests hidden throughout the world, with each chest belonging to one of 6 rarity tiers. These have not changed at all. It's still common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and mythic. No matter the rarity, opening a chest always rewards a weapon alongside either gold or a potion. As you might expect, the higher the rarity, the greater the chance of finding something truly powerful. Gold acts as the primary currency throughout the game. It can be earned by completing quests or discovered while exploring dungeons, before eventually being spent back in towns on weapons, equipment, and potions. Potions provide immediate benefits during an adventure. Whether you need emergency healing or temporary combat advantage, having the right potion at the right moment can completely change the outcome of a difficult encounter. Weapons have probably seen one of the biggest redesigns since earlier versions of Hizoria. Previously, weapons were fairly straightforward. They had rarity, dealt damage, and some offered a simple ability. In version 3, every weapon is designed to feel mechanically unique. Each weapon has certain specific stats: its rarity, weapon type, base damage, damage dice, how many hands it requires, and any weapon perks it possesses. This means choosing a weapon isn't always as simple as picking whichever deals the highest damage. Sometimes a lower damage weapon offers a perk that's far more valuable for your character or your playstyle. There are a wide variety of weapon types available. Some have carried on from previous versions, while others are new or have been slightly redesigned. Swords, axes, spears, flails, knives, maws, shields, crossbows, throwing weapons, firearms, tools, wands, staves, and runes. Each vocation specializes in different weapon types, granting proficiency bonuses when using equipment they're trained with. However, you're never locked into using only those weapons. You can still experiment with different combinations if that's the build you're aiming for. Next, we'll look at weapon perks, but for some of them to make sense, I have to first explain defense. Defense represents how well your character can protect themselves from incoming attacks, and it's made up of 2 different values: armor defense and shield defense. Armor defense comes from equipment, abilities, race bonuses, and other effects. Shield defense works in a similar way, but comes specifically from shields and shield-based abilities. Your total defense is simply the sum of your armor and shield defense, and it negates an equal amount of incoming damage. If you have a total of 2 defense and you are hit with an attack that deals 4 damage, you only take 2 damage, as your defense negates the other 2. One of the biggest improvements to combat is the introduction of weapon perks. Rather than making weapons stronger simply by increasing their damage numbers, each weapon type now has mechanics that reinforce its identity. A spear shouldn't feel like a sword with different statistics. A hammer shouldn't behave like an axe. Every weapon now encourages a slightly different playstyle. For example, a cleaving perk weapon can strike multiple enemies in front of you. A thrusting perk weapon can pierce through targets in a straight line. Throwing perk weapons return to your hand after being thrown. Crushing perk weapons ignore a certain amount of armor defense. Articulating perk weapons bypass a certain amount of shield defense. Some magical weapons can even store spells inside them, allowing you to release both a weapon attack and a spell in a single action. Because of this, weapons aren't simply stronger versions of one another. Each encourages a different style of combat. Combat calculations have also become much deeper than in previous versions. Every attack starts with base damage. On top of that, you roll the weapon's damage dice, and if you're proficient with that weapon type, you'll also add your proficiency bonus. Certain skills can increase your damage even further, while elemental effects such as fire, ice, poison, or lightning can add additional damage or status effects. Critical hits occur whenever you roll the maximum value on your weapon's damage dice. Many abilities and weapon perks interact directly with critical hits, rewarding players for those lucky rolls. Earlier versions mainly focused on rolling damage and adding a few modifiers. Version 3 introduces multiple damage sources that interact together. While it sounds more complex on paper, each layer gives players more opportunities to customize their builds and rewards investing in different playstyles. I don't want combat to be simply standing still and trading attacks with the enemy. I want players to focus on many things at once: positioning, movement, weapon choice, abilities, elemental effects, teamwork and preparation. That's what I tried to encourage with the abilities and weapons in this version of Hizoria. Every vocation should contribute differently, and battles become far more interesting when players combine their abilities together rather than acting individually. But even the most powerful adventurers will reach their end. In earlier versions, reaching 0 health usually meant your character was effectively removed from the game until they could be revived. Version 3 replaces that with the ghost system. Instead of sitting on the sidelines waiting for combat to end, defeated players remain active participants. They lose most of their normal abilities but gain new ghost abilities that allow them to continue supporting the party. So when a character reaches 0 health, they don't simply disappear from the adventure. Instead, they become a ghost. While in this state, they lose access to all of their normal equipment, abilities, and inventory. Their movement speed is reduced, and they instead gain access to a small set of unique ghost abilities depending on their vocation. Rather than waiting for the rest of the party to finish the fight, ghost players continue contributing by supporting their teammates or harassing enemies from beyond the grave. To return to life, the party must collect 5 souls from defeated enemies. Once enough souls have been gathered, the ghost returns to the place where they died, reviving with half of their maximum health and all of their mana. The intention behind the system is to keep every player involved, even after death, while still making death feel meaningful and something players will want to avoid. That covers the core combat systems currently found in Hizoria 3.0.5. We've looked at how players acquire loot, how weapons have evolved into unique pieces of equipment, how damage is calculated, and how the death system allows players to remain involved even after falling in battle. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching and let your imagination run wild.